Hi, everybody. I hope you guys had a great Easter break. Was it really a break? Whatever. Easter, sitting there, watching TV. I don't know. Whatever you do for Easter when churches are closed um, and you're locked inside a house. So, today we're talking about international relations. We're going to spend a lot of time on international relations for the rest of this class, which is good for me because this is the stuff, when it comes to political science, like this is the stuff that I really sort of enjoy. But today we're going to kind of keep it simple. We're going to try and keep it a little short. I'm not going to give you a lot of extra things to do. So let's do this. Let's start by talking about what a theory is. It's going to feel off the money, but we're going to talk about theories today, and I want to be clear about what a theory is. So, for example, which of these two pictures, picture A or picture B, is a better representation of an airplane? Now remember, neither one of these things is an airplane, right? But they are models of an airplane. Which one's better? Okay, so here's the deal. The answer to that is we don't really know because it really depends on what question you're asking. So, for example, if I'm trying to demonstrate, if my question is, what does an airplane look like? This is probably a better model. If I want to do a model about how airplanes fly, this might be a better model than this one here. So neither one is right or wrong. It depends on the question. And that's what theories are. Theories are just models of reality. They're not real themselves. This is not actually an airplane. This is not actually an airplane. It's a model of an airplane. It's not, neither one is right or wrong. They're just useful or less useful depending on what question you're asking. So I want to remember that when we're talking about theories today. We're going to talk about some international relations theories, and none of them are right or wrong. It's just whether they're more useful or less useful in trying to explain what we're talking about. Is the theory useful for explaining how things work? So the question might be then, what are we trying to explain at the international level? The other thing it's going to also do is help us predict how things will work. And then if we want to make things work better, that the theory sort of explain or will help us think about how to make things work better, if this is a good model of how things work. All right. So one of the key things that we talk about when we talk about international relations is how do states, when I say states here, I don't mean, again, United States. I mean like France, Bangladesh, Burkina Faso, the US. How do they interact with each other? If we can understand that, we can start thinking about, like, for example, some of the big questions might be things like, why is there war? How do we get peace? Big questions like that. But then a bunch of other questions are going to follow as well, which we'll talk about over the next couple weeks here. All right. So one of the first things we want to talk about when we're talking about international relations is the different contexts we're talking about it. So when I ask you, for example, how do you interact with other people? Like when you see somebody, do you say hi? Do you have friends? Do you interact with your friends differently? You interact with acquaintances than you interact with strangers. So there's all these sort of, again, theories about interhuman relations instead of international relations. Um, One of the things that's significant, though, when we think about how, if you think about how you interact with other people, you always do it. I shouldn't say always, but yeah, for the most part, you do it in the context of there's a government. A government exists and it provides a whole bunch of things. I mean, think about all the things that government sort of provides. At the very least, what it provides is if I walk up to a stranger and that stranger then hits me, I can call the police. The police then can come and take care of this. I'm not on my own, which changes very much how I interact. I take my money and I put it in a bank, with the expectation that at some point I can go back to that bank and get that money back. They're not just going to pack up and leave because the government is there sort of supporting all those sorts of things. I hand the person at the supermarket this green piece of paper that has a picture of George Washington on it, and they let me take things out of the store. The reason that works is because the government backs that up. So a lot of our interactions are backed up by the government. So here's what I want you to think about, because this is the different scenario for international relations, is it happens in the context of anarchy. Anarchy is exactly what it says here. An means no, archy means government, no government. But this does not necessarily mean chaos. It doesn't mean that everybody's out there doing whatever they want. We actually see a lot of patterns that develop out of this. The key element here, though, is there's no global government. There's no sort of, if one state sort of, messes with another state, there's no government you can go to and then get some sort of justice or recompense or whatever you want to call it. So the question that I want to, and this is the thing. So here's what I want to think about before we move on. How do states interact in a condition of global anarchy? So you're going to watch a video. It's just a little clip from The Walking Dead. And I want you to think about for yourself, if you woke up in the zombie apocalypse, and now with the zombie apocalypse, there's no government, how would your life be different? And this is really important. I don't say important, but like people are talking about the apocalypse when this whole pandemic and sort of lockdown and all that kind of stuff. And it's not even close to an apocalypse in that sense because the government is really running everything. What if the pandemic was happening and there was no government? How would things be different? And here's really the question I want you to think about. I want you to picture yourself as this person waking up in a zombie apocalypse. How are you going to interact with the first stranger you meet? Are you going to hide? Are you going to walk up and say hello? Let's go, solve apocalypse together. Are you going to meet the person, but only if you have a gun? Like how exactly will you interact with the first stranger you meet? So take a look at that video and then we'll come back.